All right. Meredith Wells.
Nice to meet you.
Ma'am.
Doctor.
Doctor, ma'am. Talk to me about the They are flying out of the ballpark at a ridiculous rate. I've for lack of a better phrasing, I've been fondling balls for quite some time, Meredith. I'm an expert.
Well, I've gotten pretty good at fondling them myself, but I'm probably not as expert as you.
Fair enough. What the hell is going on? First of all, let's just go through your credentials. As you astutely corrected me, Dr. Wells, Harvard, Bozeman, astrophysicist.
Born on opening day.
Born on opening day.
In the Baseball Hall of Fame.
In the Baseball Hall of Fame.
For knitting, by the way, which turns out to be useful for this, swear to God.
We'll get to that. But you are absolutely qualified for the questions I have, for the questions pitchers across Major League Baseball have, fans have. I think we all know the answer. Maybe we do, maybe we don't. That's where you come in, because I am at no point the smartest individual in any room I walk into. Certainly the case here. Educate me, Meredith. What the hell, what in the Sam hell is going on?
Well, first I need to fill you in on a secret. I'm the most qualified person to do this. I may be the only qualified person to do this. So bear that in mind.
Preach.
Okay, absolutely. It's all me, guys.
So when I talk about baseballs, when I feel a baseball, that's probably where it starts for me. I can feel a difference. Mm-hmm. I can tell. You've got a few different baseballs here for us.
Yep. So we're in right now what I call home run surge 2. And if you remember back in 2017, we had another home run surge. That's home run surge 1. So I got 3 baseballs here. This one is before home run surge 1.
Pre-surge.
We call this pre-surge. This is a pre-surge ball.
All right.
We're going to test Dallas on this.
Okay.
This one is home run surge 1. This one is home run surge 2. Now I'm going to mouth to you guys which one I'm handing him at which time, but he's going to keep his eyes closed and he's not going to know what I'm handing him. Okay? You guys cool with that?
Let's do this.
All right. All right, I'm going to hand these to you one at a time. If you want one back.
I need it in my left hand.
Of course you do. You can hand it back. I'm going to give you 3 at a time, and then ultimately you tell me which one.
Okay.
By the way, I don't know which ones I'm handing him.
Okay. This guy right here.
First try. Very good.
I get it?
Yeah, absolutely. You got it.
That thing is it's smaller, tighter, slicker, it feels like. Is that?
Yep.
Is that close?
I mean, that's exactly right. Yeah. I mean, it feels tighter is a good word actually, because the big deal with these.
Pays to fondle balls your entire life.
It's fun to fondle balls.
Got him.
Yeah. The big deal with these, which is why he's saying they're tighter, is actually the seam height. We're talking like half as high.
Well, that's kind of what I felt too.
It's crazy.
And blisters, Meredith. I was constantly dealing with blisters myself. I wasn't a guy who threw hard, but I really did try to manipulate the lace. I really did try to manipulate the baseball.
Do you think you could pull up the laces with your fingernails on this?
Not so much. This is what we used to have to do is I used to bite the laces. I used to bite the laces
Awesome.
and pull them up, and you would bite them up just on a certain spot, so you knew you had that anchor that you could continually go to.
Yep.
That was more at the amateur level, because in the big leagues.
I was going to say biting the ball doesn't go over well in the big
no,
leagues,
and you get a new ball every pitch. I mean,
True.
the shelf life is very small. Okay.
Yep. So these are our samples. What we're going to do, is that my baseball?
This is your baseball.
Dallas wanted to know how we find this stuff out.
Yes.
So we have here a lovely, think of this as a baseball cooking science show.
A smorgasbord of baseball.
Something like that.
Innards.
So what we're going to start with is I'm going to make Dallas do this. I'm going to tell him how, and we're going to see him completely fuck it up, but it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yes, there will be blood. There will be blood.
There may be blood. I will use the box cutter.
Okay, you use the box cutter.
Because I don't trust you with the box cutter.
Fair enough.
All right.
Fair enough. I wouldn't.
I know how to fondle balls with a box cutter. You probably never want your balls fondled with a box cutter.
Never.
Didn't think so. Okay.
Stay safe.
So, yeah. So anyway, one of the things that we do is to look for the roundness of the baseball. This is what he'll end up taking these calipers. These are in fact not dangerous, even though they look it. And he'll take measurements here and here, and here. And I just want to see if you can do it without, like, you know, this is fun, actually. Alrighty, and actually make
All
sure.
right, Doc.
Okay, so what does the number say? Can you read it?
73.6.
Sounds about right?
Okay.
So now we're going to turn it so it's 90 degrees. Do the best you can. Sarah,
73.3.
73.3. Okay, 73.6, 73.3. And now we're going to go this way. And again, try to make it as even as you can, like up, like basically you want
north and south.
North and south, yeah.
72.3.
So you see how much it varies, right?
There's a ton of variance here.
There's a ton of variance. Yep.
I mean, those are small numbers, right? And I really don't know the
Yep.
value of all of them, but I know that they're all different.
So, and then we're not actually doing the calculation, unfortunately. But what you're then going to see is if you put them, they're basically going to be like here and then here. So it's kind of close to the seams. And that's actually where you, on a ball before this year, you would have found that that was actually bigger. In this case, what are you seeing?
72.9.
Smaller.
What?
Should be bulging at the seams, but they're not. Let's try the other one. What's that one?
So bulging balls is what we're looking for. Bulging seams.
Yeah, bulging seams is normal until this year. This year it's different.
72.8.
There you go. So we got a couple 73s in there. Those were both like under 73.
Wow.
So basically what you have are the seams are literally nestled into the ball.
Yes, they're like
Which is damn
embedded
strange.
into the ball.
They're embedded, yeah.
That's-
So that's why they feel lower, is because they're literally like sunk in.
I feel like I wouldn't want to throw that ball.
You probably wouldn't.
I don't want to throw that ball.
So this one, honestly, this is more just like for the heck of it. It doesn't tell us quite as much, but I just want to see if you can do it. Which is, I also will get the width of the seams because, of course, more tools is good, more digital is good.
Yes.
Throws Dallas. So literally, I don't know if you can see that. It's kind of
Yeah.
like that. So
Right
you
on
want to
the-
take them in a couple, like basically just inside holes, and I usually do them kind of like here, and just a few different places that are far apart. And I can see the numbers on this side. So like literally you can stick those points into the holes. There we go. So that says 8.2 millimeters. And they're going to be different, very slightly, yeah.
And I'm going to, so that's not even, I got to.
And so that one's 8.96. So you can tell it's wider there.
And now,
These are pretty typical.
I feel like this is going to be narrower here.
Probably, yeah. You can sort, I mean, and you can tell by looking.
Well, exactly. Well, I'm going, and what I'm doing, okay, is that
7.89, he was right.
so? And the reason I did that is because I think about going to certain places on the baseball that I would use to try to make it move in a certain direction. So
Yep.
that's
Yep.
crazy. Wow.
So
is that weird to you that I can feel and I can just kind of tell where the difference in the ball is going to be, having not gone to Harvard, having not been anywhere near as smart as you, just the fact that I can touch and confirm what the math and science tells you.
in fact, even better is I feel like I've gotten as good as you,
Sure,
almost as some of this.
I don't doubt it.
Where I got to the point by the time I was going through my very last batch of balls where I could pick one up and tell you to within like a millimeter around if it was bigger or smaller
Really?
than average. It was
Sure.
really, like my hand knew.
Right.
It was the coolest thing.
Well, that's why I felt like when you're handing me these balls, you know,
yeah,
I
and
can
that one I
just-
think is a little smaller.
Yes. Well,
Yeah.
this one, this one feels bigger.
Right.
This one feels
like my example happens to be smaller. I'm sorry.
Right.
It just worked out that way.
So, talk to me now about the surface of the baseball, the texture
Okay.
of the baseball,
We're gonna tear this apart,
and
too.
and the variance there.
All right. So one of the things, as Dallas is talking about, is the leather smoother.
Yes.
Now it turns out it's way hard to measure how smooth the leather is if you are like, if the ball is like this. You need lasers. I don't have lasers at home. I'm doing all this stuff at home. But if you take a baseball apart, disassembled baseball. So see, covers off. This is cover off. This, by the way, is, we'll get to what's inside that. Turns out what's more important for the ball flying is actually the outside, because after we get to this point, it doesn't matter quite so much. So because this thing's flat, or not flat, but not round, it's not going to roll off the table. What we do is you literally, see, this is me folding it in half, it's just a couple magnets holding it together. And do you want to do the measurement, Alice?
Let's do it.
So what you do is you basically figure out how far up you have to tip the board. You want to do it from that end?
When this starts to move,
When
that's
it
going to let
starts
us
to
know
move,
exactly.
Yeah, the angle that it starts to move at, it's going to start to move all at once.
So like right there.
Right there. You're actually being awfully delicate. That's better.
Should I do it quicker?
Yeah,
Like
do it a little quicker. Yeah. That's it.
There's a little hump right
Yeah,
there.
there's a little hump right there.
And this is
Yeah, there is a hump right there, Jesus. But anyway.
the death of flies.
Yeah, so as soon as you get up to that angle, it slides down.
And now there's terms for that.
It's called
laminar flow?
No, actually, that's coefficient of static friction.
Okay.
Laminar flow
Close. I was close, as you can tell.
It still sounds cool, though. I mean, but mostly what it has to do with, good way to describe static friction is, have you ever been anywhere where like you've had to walk on ice, or are you one of these like California boys who's like never left San Francisco?
Yeah, walk on ice? What? No, you don't have to do that, Meredith. They have sand. You have to walk on ice.
Well, let's pretend.
Okay.
So if you're out there like in your dress shoes
Sure.
versus like boots,
Uh-huh.
do you really want to walk on the ice in your dress shoes?
No,
Because your feet are going to come sliding out from under you.
that's not fun.
It's not fun.
So I need boots.
So you need boots. The reason that your dress shoes slide out from under you is because that static friction is a lot lower.
Non-existent. Pretty
Non-existent, yeah.
Okay.
So the higher the static friction, the less you slide. So hence, if we had like the board up like this, tons of static friction, board down like this, not so much.
So translation: smoother baseball, ball's probably going to fly a little better.
Believe it or not, it's actually a little more complicated than that, but
For the sake of me and my education level and the folks listening,
what it does, it actually affects you even more than the ball, which is if it's a smoother ball, it's harder to grip.
well, not only is it harder to grip, but for me, it's harder to manipulate. It's harder
Bingo.
to spin. I
Yep.
understand that, but that's
But that's actually the bigger, that turns out to be the bigger issue for the leather smoothness is there's just, pitchers don't like this ball. And the reason they don't like this ball is because the leather's so smooth.
Well, we're learning how to spin the ball better than we ever have before.
Right.
The hitters are learning how to hit the ball and attack the ball at an angle that we had never seen before, or that we just haven't been used to being attacked as pitchers before.
Attack.
So we're trying to figure out ways to work around the attack plan that's occurring at home plate. But the baseball, the very tool that we do that with, is being changed and altered, or so we believe. So we
It's different.
So we can feel, and that makes it very tough. I want to get to the inside. I want to get to the guts and bolts, if you will, of this baseball, Meredith.
Oh, okay, can we get to the guts of it?
Yes.
All right, always carry knives if you're an astrophysicist. Good idea. You think I'm kidding, especially if you're taking your astrophysics stuff in Montana. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do this tiny little cut, small incision, yeah, this is kind of like surgery. Right there. You've got fans, Dallas.
All right, so now we're just picking off the laces. I've done this plenty of times.
I'm sure you've done this part plenty of times. There we go, all right. So
It's like blaming the baseball.
it's always the ball.
Who does that?
All right, so what we have are these teeny little laces that have been pulled up. And I'm going to demo this for you,
right.
and then I want to see how well you do, because you think you got blisters?
Well, I'm sure.
I got so many damn blisters tearing these things apart. I have calluses that will never go away. So what we're going to do, I like to go towards the V.
Okay.
And so it's literally stick the pin underneath a little bit, and you pull, and then you use the tip of the pin to pull stuff out, and you do that again, and you pull. And I have done this with like 150 baseballs over the years.
Just the tip towards the V.
Just the tip towards the V. So let's see how he does. See, if he gets good at this, I'm then going to have him help with my next study. How's that sound?
I feel like I'm already making light work of this ball here.
Yeah, you're probably also fraying the hell out of the laces, though.
Am I?
Yep, but it's okay. All right,
So that's how you de-thread a baseball. That's
Right.
how you undress a baseball.
yeah, this is how you. Yeah, basically, think of it as baseball strip tease.
Oh, sure.
Does that work?
No, absolutely.
You know, like
works.
the corset, we were slowly undoing the laces. So yeah, so we're undoing the baseballs. So this takes a long time.
Yeah.
You think it takes a long time for Dallas? It takes a long time even for me.
Boom, and here we are.
All right. So now we have, and you already saw half of this, so we're only showing you half. That's what you get for a cover coming off. Now, one of the things that's kind of cool, cover coming off, but on the inside of every single baseball cover is a code like that, either 6 letters or 7.
Is it like a born on date?
Sort of. It's basically a lot number or a lot designation. And what's awesome about this, and Rawlings, this would be great because I know you've got all of this listed. By knowing this 6 digits or 6 letters, you can tell like almost to the hour when the baseball was made.
Oh, sweet.
So I would love to know that.
Yeah.
But it's kind of hard because you need to have like the right guy at Rawlings tell you how to do it.
We'll work on that.
Yeah, so Dallas, you can get in touch with Rawlings for me. Sound good? Alrighty, so this tool.
Seems, the chopstick. This could very well be the all-star, the super sleuth of the home run search.
2017 home run search, this chopstick solved the 2017 home run search.
You hear that, Kowloon? Your chopsticks got nothing on the home run search chopsticks.
In fact, I have offered to donate this exact chopstick to the Baseball Hall of Fame.
Really?
Not kidding.
Wow.
They said they'd get back to me. They did sound interested.
Sure.
Yeah,
I mean, it's gonna get authenticated.
It's a very, oh yeah, that's right. I should get it authenticated because this is the chopstick. So what you do, the thing with the 2017 home run surge is it turns out that the laces were thicker, and the laces being thicker held the ball together better. And basically, you know how we're measuring roundness before? The thicker laces kept the ball rounder. A rounder ball travels further, so you got home runs in 2017 that you didn't get in, say, 2014. And that was really the difference. The laces got thicker. Turns out, by the way, they're thinner again, which is kind of cool because
the home run numbers are going up too.
Well, yeah, that's its own thing. We'll get into that in a sec. But they're thinking of you when they did that because the reason all these pitchers were getting blisters round about 2017 was because the laces were thicker.
It's like it was like throwing with ropes. I didn't have to deal with that, but I remember when the laces were being changed and manipulated even when I was playing, and that was something that we dealt with. We have seen an astronomical increase in finger injuries, hand and like blister. A guy that comes to mind, Aaron Sanchez. I mean, this is a guy.
Yeah, you've seen those awful,
and there's other guys. It's crazy.
Yeah, if you want to see something really gross, find, I think was it with Harold Reynolds or something that Aaron Sanchez did this interview, and you can only really watch it once because it's so disgusting. But if you want to see how bad it can get, anyway, so. What it turns out is to find out how thick the laces are. It's kind of wearing away, but can you see that there's marks on that? Is that showing up? There's like inches and then there's centimeters. So see those centimeters right there? This is how you find out lace thickness. I'll let you try in a sec. By the way, you remember how I talked about the knitting being important? You do this with knitting or weaving all the time to figure out, okay, what size needles am I going to use to knit something? And so you basically figure out how thick your yarn is in that case, or here your thread. And so what I'm doing is by wrapping these, you want to keep doing it?
Sure.
By wrapping it around, make it as tight down as you can, because otherwise you basically don't want it to slide around. But you end up figuring out, okay, I'm going to get this many wraps per centimeter in this case, and there's a trick to sliding over. Yeah, it looks good. He's doing good. And that ends up telling you how thick the laces are. And it turns out that the 2017 laces were thicker, and this season they're back to being thinner. So kudos, because that means if pitchers are getting blisters, they're not getting blisters from the laces anymore.
There you go.
Yep. See? Good job. So there you go.
So in essence, what we have experienced. We've experienced more home runs hit than we ever have before. We have a combination of things, and that's something that I also wanted to ask you, is because the baseballs are changing.
Yes.
But how much credit can be given just to the baseball? Because of the things that I mentioned before, we are bigger and stronger than we've ever been before as athletes, as human beings, period.
Yes.
We are upon a new frontier in terms of how to attack the baseball at home plate. That is because we're being compensated for hitting the ball out of the park. We are disregarding strikeouts. So the reward system, the risk reward system has also, in my opinion, impacted the home run rate as well. So I think about the fly ball increase from, 2017 to 2019.
There actually has been less of a fly ball increase rate than you'd think. I mean, Jason Stark had a great thing out. Okay, what are your numbers? Oh, you're talking from 2015. What he was looking at was basically 2017, 18, and 19. They were basically all 36% roughly.
Yeah.
So, yeah, 2015, the ball changed.
They didn't do enough homework, Meredith.
The ball changed.
They didn't go back in time.
Shut up.
They didn't go back in time.
Shut up. The ball changed the middle of 2015. So those 2015 numbers, the first half is going to be different than the second half. So 2015
Post All-Star
is
baseball. 2015
right. So comparing 2015 to 2019 is bad science.
I don't know. Some might call that
It's
selective
bad science.
Selective science?
It's bad science.
I like selective science.
Whatever.
It's fair.
So anyway.
So there's got to be something to that, though. There's credit to be given to the player.
Well, actually, the thing that's funny is that it's not the fly ball rate necessarily, it's exit velocity. And exit velocities, they're up a little bit this season. Rob Arthur should get a shout out for most of this stuff, honestly. He's found a ton of shit. Looked at exit velocities, and they're up a tiny bit, but not nearly enough to account for this. And exit velocity is basically what is going to tell you, how strong the guy is, because if he's hitting the ball harder, it's going to come off the bat faster.
Sure.
If it's not coming off the bat faster, then the reason it's flying further is because it's just not slowing down as quickly when it goes through the air. Which also means it's a big deal. For instance, we talk about netting this year being a big deal. The ball is fucking dangerous this year. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Like if you have the same season tickets that you've had for 10 years, and you compare from 10 years ago to now,
you're in harm's way now.
You're seriously in harm's way now.
More so than ever before.
Yeah, and I don't think it's going to get better.
No, it's not going to get better. I do have to say there are teams that have made a great effort, a conscious effort to help secure their fan bases.
Have you seen that great White Sox play of like the guy bouncing?
Yes,
it's fabulous.
That was beautiful. That's exactly what you
That's why we need netting.
That's what you didn't know you needed.
Exactly.
Right? That is a great point. So let me ask you this then. We've got the structure of the baseball, and we understand that it is changing. We understand that it is ever changing. Is it something that we just need to accept in terms of, you're going to hand me a box of 12 baseballs, no two baseballs are going to be alike? Is it time for us to just accept that and move the fuck on? Or is there an opportunity to get better at production? Is there an opportunity to get more consistent in production? Or are we at the pinnacle of what we can do as a team of humans and machinery creating a ball?
Well, I guess I would sort of take, there's almost two parts to that answer. First of all, I actually kind of like that the baseballs are a little different than each other. Because you as a pitcher, for instance, it's why you throw a ball back. It's because one's going to doesn't feel right or whatever. If all the balls are the same, you can't do that anymore. So I'm not a fan. I like that there's I don't want a ton of variation, but I like that there's some variation. The other thing, though, is that I'm not sure they're all made the same way, basically. And the reason, for instance, that this ball is the way it is, particularly with the lower seams and the fact that it's rounder, seems to be that they've changed how they dry the baseballs.
That's what I wanted to ask you about, because before,
we'll talk about this one.
Or to my knowledge, the balls were being cinched up while wet.
Yeah, because the leather can't become round unless the leather's wet.
Right. So they're cinched up when they're wet, and then sort of just left to dry, or kind of air dry, if you will.
Exactly. Yep.
Now, today, it's kind of like ordering a burger. They're going to make it and then stick it under a hot lamp, and then by the time you actually get your burger, it's like 3 sizes smaller than it was when it came off the grill. Probably feels like a fucking bowling ball that you're biting into. Hard as hell.
Well, it is a hard ball.
And you want so is there any, is that close?
Well, let's put it this way. Rawlings has not confirmed this, but the only way that I can think of to explain how we get from this ball to this ball is basically that. It's like they're taking a blow dryer to the balls in this
Like
case.
heat drying it. Like
Heat
there's an
drying it.
active drying process.
Yeah,
as
there's now
opposed
a
to-
drying process, and that's making the ball stay round. And the thing is, the reason is because those laces that we're stretching from air drying, now it's the equivalent of like throwing your t-shirt in the dryer.
Sure.
And it ends up coming back and looking like normal. Everything shrinks back. So if you take a baseball, because these laces are cotton, they're made of the same stuff your t-shirt's made of, and then you end up basically putting them under a blow dryer, they're not going to stretch. They're going to kind of shrink back. So one, it's going to make sure that remember that bulging that you were showing at the seams?
Yes, bulging
just
seams.
isn't going to happen the same way. And then the other thing is that it's probably going to, that's I think why the seams are lower is because it's forcing the seams to stay down. You're
Stay
talking
down.
about nestled in?
Yeah,
the reason
it
they're
feels like
nestled
they're
in is
embedded
because
into the-
they literally can't expand out the way that they would have on the previous balls. So Rawlings changes one, and again,
So like,
I'd
if
love
you listen-
confirmation on
if you
this, but
listen
Rawlings changes
closely-
one thing.
Yeah, if you listen closely, you can probably hear these seams screaming.
Oh yeah,
I'm so fucking tired.
yep,
So fucking tired.
yep.
It's no wonder to me that I don't know if it's baseball, the entity that has gotten involved with the manipulation. It's hard to turn the other cheek when baseball actually goes out and purchases a stake in the product itself.
And not only did they purchase a stake in the product, they purchased a stake in the product specifically with getting more involved in the process. That was the whole point.
I have a theory here. I have an outlook. And you may agree, you may not agree. Performance-enhancing drugs and individuals who may have failed tests, may have not have failed tests, however you want to view that, the asterisk gets placed on their career productivity. The asterisk follows those individuals around.
Yep.
I would be hard-pressed to find a difference between one individual manipulating his self for a productive outcome and baseball, the entity, manipulating the very tool we use for a productive outcome. I'm hard-pressed finding a difference there. So
Yeah, I would argue you're right. I'm not a fan of asterisks, but this year and maybe going forward, there's
it's putting an asterisk on
Every
the
si-
entire
everything
the entire
this
record
year.
book.
Everything this year.
Everything.
It's
That's
crazy,
just,
yeah.
And I hate to think that way because
You're
I am
right, though.
because I'm so in love with the players. I'm so in love with what these guys do because they do it so well. And I don't at any point in time want to come out of the clouds that tells me,
Well, the other thing
look at
is,
the fucking ball, Dallas.
But-
It's
but-
damn near gas powered.
but here's the thing also, they're just playing with the ball they were given.
Sure,
It's
sure.
not their fault.
No,
it's
absolutely.
not like your previous thing where the player chooses to do that.
Right.
Everybody here, they're getting the same ball. They're doing the best they can with the same ball.
What do you think has been the most impactful difference or the most impactful change that has occurred to the ball? Whether it's seam height,
Seam height.
whether it's texture.
I would say seam height and roundness. But the thing is, they're caused by the same thing
Okay.
because it's the blow dryer. That's
Right,
it.
the blow dryer effect.
The blow dryer. Yeah, let's call it. That's it. It's
That's
it's the blow dryer baseball. We have a name.
All right. Do I get credit for that?
Of course.
Okay. All right. Just want to make sure.
But yeah, so it's because the seam height and the roundness of the ball are both because of the blow dryer.
Now, core. This is, I think, one of the last things that I wanted to get to.
Because of course, the heart of the ball.
of the baseball.
Well, here's what the inside looks like. By the way, I apologize. This is a 2015 baseball, but you grab what you can out of my 100
Jeez,
baseballs
Meredith.
at home. Turns out when you take apart a baseball, you get covers, you get laces, you get 3 layers
Of yarn.
By the way, you can knit with this yarn. But
Really?
absolutely. I'm doing some stuff with the Hall of Fame.
Wow.
Knitting stuff with baseball yarn.
I would love a sweater with baseball yarn.
Well, if you bid enough for what we're auctioning off, then absolutely you can get one.
All right, how about that?
But that's about it. I'm not going to make you one, Dallas. Sorry, I don't love you that much.
I tried. Threw it
Yeah,
out there.
Sorry.
Size large.
And then the very, very center, this is the core. It's also something called the pill. And this has come up a bit because people will talk about the pill not being as centered or being more centered now.
The coefficient of restitution.
It's related to that, but it's also, if you have an off-center pill, the ball wobbles a little as it goes through the air.
Well, so like golfers, they have devices that they can put their golf ball into, hit a button, and it will spin the ball until it's rotating on its most functional axis, most stable axis, and then you take the line, or you have a pin, so you can draw the line so that when you're lining up your putt, you know that you can put that ball down, and hopefully, if you hit it squarely, which that never happens with me, it rolls straight. That never happens for me either, but the tools are in place to help.
Yeah, I mean, you're doing the best you can.
Trying once again.
That's okay, I don't play golf at all, so you're still doing better than me. So there's been some discussion of, is this what's making the ball travel further? Because if it is wobbling when it goes through the air, it's not gonna be as efficient. The way that I like to think about it is throwing a football with a spiral
as opposed to a duck.
As opposed to the way I throw it. Don't ever ask me to throw a football. But obviously not a spiral, not going to travel as well. Whether that has an effect or not is, first of all, something I can't measure because I can't use chopsticks or T-pins or whatever. But the other thing is, it turns out that when you wind a baseball, it's really, really hard to make this off-center systematically such that every single baseball would be either less centered or more centered. It just doesn't work that way.
Sure.
You know, and that gets back to that variation thing.
Well, I would assume that it's easier to keep it within a certain space as opposed to accurately off-center it consistently.
And in fact, if you were to off-center it that consistently that often, you'd break the equipment.
Yeah, that would be...
Because the whole spinny thing would
suddenly
start shaking all over the place.
Right, and it'd be like the dryer effect, right?
Yeah, in fact, that's exactly the way to think about it. Anybody who's unbalanced their washing machine and suddenly you're afraid you're going to break it, that's kind of what we're talking about. So,
well, this has been incredible. So we have gone over not only the structure of the baseball from seams to seam height to the way the baseball is sewn together, the way the baseball is dried. Remember, wet. Meredith and I both believe, we can't confirm the blow dryer effect, but we believe that there is a...
I am open to other hypotheses. As a scientist, I am absolutely willing to take
That's
other
good
answers.
science.
It
See,
is. That's good science.
That's not selective science, which I like to practice.
Yep.
You're right more times when you practice selective science. I just want to let you know. I didn't know if you knew that.
You feel better about yourself.
Either way, scoreboard's always shining in my favor. That's how I like to look at it.
Hey, that works.
Texture of the baseball, but really the take-home message has been, from what I've gathered, for you, the seams.
The
seams are a large variable when we talk about the difference or the integrity of the baseball. Moving forward, what can be done, or is there something to be done in regards to how consistent the ball can remain?
Well, what I can say is that at this point, it looks to me like Rawlings may have produced the perfect baseball. And I'm not really sure how you go to them and say, yeah, you know, this is perfect. We really want you to screw it up again.
Yeah, right. Not gonna happen.
You know, that plus the fact that honestly, part of the reason they may be doing a blow dryer is, don't forget, the same ball is being used in AAA now. They got to make twice as many baseballs. It may just literally be that they're trying to speed things up by using the blow dryer. Stuff dries faster. I mean, that could be it.
That's a tremendous, wow. You know, I guess I never really even factored that in because it was just one group, 30 ball clubs that you're trying to supply. Now you're taking, I don't know, I mean, shit.
It's basically twice as many. That's what the numbers work out as, because they reuse the balls more, but there are more AAA clubs.
And what was I think if you go back to July, and I forget what the date was in July, but at a certain point in July, the home run total was already at 159% more, 159% greater than it was the entire year prior. And it was just July, Meredith.
Yep.
That is complete.
Yeah, I want to say on July, was it 27th or something, we actually surpassed the 2014 total entirely.
Yeah. Is this good for the game from somebody who has been in love with the game, who was born into the game, has found her way now into what I feel is one of the most intriguing conversations that our sport really has surrounding it? And I know a lot of people kind of check in and check out, like, oh, it's the ball, who really cares? I like home runs. Maybe the layman fan who is brought into baseball, it's because the ball is doing what it's doing. Are you okay with it? Is there a game that you favor?
I favor more variety, I guess. I mean, right now I actually had Ryan Spader. You're getting a shout out now. You know him.
Sure
he
do.
rocks. He's the best. So I had him run some numbers just last night. Actually, this was that Giants D-backs game.
12 homers.
Or some, insane.
Meredith, and it was the
Giants.
We just set a record here, Meredith,
Yeah.
at the Oakland Coliseum. This fucking graveyard. We just set a record. 10 jacks in a game. I have never seen. I've watched a lot of baseball at the Coliseum, and I know a lot of older people who have watched a hell of a lot more baseball here than I have, and they could not put words to what they witnessed. Sure, there were some things that factored in. The weather, it was hot as balls.
Doesn't matter. I mean, honestly, like the fact it's up everywhere. It's up everywhere.
But that's the point, is those numbers are what they are to the point where you have to pay attention to those. That's not something you can just disregard.
Yeah, I mean, and
you don't chalk this up to Mother Nature.
No, oh God, no. In fact, I guess the way, to get back to Ryan's thing, I asked him, I said, okay, how many games have we had this season with no home runs? When he ran these numbers, I checked, there had been 1,811 games. Of those 1,811 games, 123 had no home runs. That's like 7%.
I was going to say, that's less than 10%.
7% of games had no home runs. Can you imagine any year where you're almost guaranteed, I mean, not almost guaranteed, hell, how can you not have a home run during a game? It's almost like, oh, cool, we went to a game and there wasn't a home run. That's awesome.
Well, you love
That's
to
insane.
I sign up for the pitcher's duel. I'm here for the pitcher's duel.
Fuck pitcher's duels. They're not happening anymore.
Those are good. That's why I like the pitchers, the starting pitcher who can go 9, the pitcher's duel. Those are unicorn type performances. That's what I call them. I call them unicorns.
Oh,
a
sure.
guy like that. So when you get a pitcher's duel like that, I'm excited. I love watching that brand of baseball. Is there anything else that we should know about the ball? Is there anything that you're looking for to kind of tip you off? Like, you know what? I think I might be seeing something else. The baseball might be up to something again. Or is it just kind of, you're soaking up the game?
Well, I mean, here's the thing. As far as knowing if the baseball's changed, the first thing you do is talk to the pitchers. The pitchers can tell instantly that the ball is different. These guys knew opening day. I mean, there's no question. So and in fact, a lot of the people who do the science, that's like the one thing they forget is talk to the players, particularly the pitchers.
Not to toot my own horn, but how long did it take me to figure? And I haven't thrown a ball competitively in 10 years.
Exactly. So, I mean, talk to the pitchers, figure out, okay, that's different. You also look at things like home run rates. There are absolutely people out there who are doing good work, figuring out, okay, are we seeing changes? Now that we kind of know to look for drag, for like how far the ball is traveling, you can also look at exit velocity and stuff, but that tells you different things potentially about the ball. What I can say is I think now that we know how to ask the questions, I don't think we can necessarily assume that the ball is going to be the same from season to season, because Rawlings, I mean, they're on the record. They do process improvements all the time. They're always trying to make the ball better. So it may change.
Is there any stock in labeling an era like a juiced ball era, or is that something that you would hate to see stick?
Here's the thing. I don't like juiced because that sort of implies they did this on purpose, and I'm not really sure that they knew ahead of time that taking a blow dryer.
17.5% increase in the home run rate. The product changes. You don't think they had any knowledge?
Oh no, they knew the drag was down. I just don't think they knew it was going to be this bad.
Sure. Okay. So there's a difference there, though. Is there not? Like, they knew there was going to be a change. They just didn't know how egregious it was going to be.
Exactly.
So that's like saying, I'm sorry. You're sorry because you got caught. You're not sorry. You're sorry because you got caught.
That's a good way to put it.
So that's how I'm looking at it you knew the change was coming. You're kind of looking around at each other going, fuck, I don't think anybody saw him hitting 12,000 homers this year. Let's just kind of keep looking this way. And
pay no attention to the outfield wall. If there's balls going over it, you didn't see that.
Never mind StatCast breaking. Never mind that. The ball's just so.
Yeah, but anyway, I mean, home run era, juice ball, whatever we choose to call it, I'm not sure it's going to go back.
No.
At least, I mean, we'll know when it does. And we'll know not just because of the numbers, we'll know because now we know how to take apart the balls and see how they're different.
We can ask the right questions,
We
as
know
you
how to
said.
ask the right questions.
Well,
And all it takes is a chopstick.
that's all it takes. This little guy right here. The MVP of the entire crowd.
This is my chopstick.
Well, this has been very educational, very informative.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to educate you.
No, you did. You did. This has been fondling balls with Meredith Wells. Meredith, thank you for your time.
Thank you.